Today, we will begin with a public hearing to consider the proposed vacation of a portion of Hazel Cul-de-sac in Concord Township. This hearing is being called to order by myself, President John Hamercheck, Lake County Board of Commissioners. This hearing is being held in accordance with Section 5553.045 of the Ohio Revised Code for the primary purpose of hearing endorsements and/or objections to the proposed vacation of a portion of Hazel Drive Cul-de-sac in Concord Township. This meeting will be recorded. Okay, so let's see. Continuing on. All right, is there anyone wishing to address the board or provide any comments at this time on the proposed vacation of a portion of Hazel Drive Cul-de-sac in Concord Township? You're invited to speak at this time. David.
Good morning. I'm David Ardacci, Lake County Planning Community Development Director. This vacation is a result of a petition circulated by one of the two property owners at the end of the cul-de-sac. He is preparing to build what's called a hammerhead, which is the bottom one underneath the circle in the middle of the picture. At the end of Hazel Drive, currently Hazel Drive ends with a stub, so it's a dead end. The hammerhead will provide turnaround access for fire trucks and snow plows and Amazon trucks. When they do the hammerhead, the cul-de-sac the rest of the right-of-way for a cul-de-sac is not necessary, so he has requested that it be vacated and given to the two property owners at the end of the cul-de-sac. So if this is approved, the area in red will be split between the two property owners and added to their lots.
So my understanding is the construction of this portion of the road and this hammerhead will be at the property owner's expense?
Yes, the county commissioners passed a set of construction drawings in November which included the costs, and so it's going to be at his cost to build it. He's in the process of hiring contractors to build it and start his house, so it will be probably built June or July.
Further understanding is the county engineer will be monitoring this progress, overseeing it, and everything from compaction. I believe there'll be a 3-year bond on this.
Yes, we'll have a 3-year bond, and the county engineer will follow. This will follow the standard road opening procedures we use for subdivisions, where the property owner will pay for inspections, and the county engineer will have an inspector on site as they build the road to make sure it's built to the approved improvement plans.
And it's in two parts. Rough course, property owner will build their home. Then when they do the final course, it'll be after construction, so construction vehicles aren't driving on it.
That's what he's planning on doing. So, but we can't put it into maintenance until the top course is done. And that will come in front of the Board of Commissioners too. So after everything's done, the county engineer will recommend that it be accepted, and then we'll get a bond, and then we'll present it to the board, and they'll pass it by resolution.
And then Concord Township is responsible for that pavement at that time?
They're not responsible for the pavement. They're responsible to plow it. After the maintenance bond expires in 3 years, then they'll be responsible for the pavement, any upkeep of it. Then we'll do an inspection after 3 years and see if there's any deficiencies and request the deficiencies be fixed, and then we'll turn it over completely to Concord Township.
And this is usual and customary. Concord's not waiting one way or the other. They know.
Yes, they understand the procedures.
Gentlemen, anything further?
Mr. President?
Sir.
I would just say, having publicly viewed the proposed area for the road vacation this morning, it is a beautiful location right off of Big Creek, and I think it's going to make for a lovely home. So we're happy to work with the property owner in Concord to make this happen.
Indeed. Mr. Ravitch?
I'd just like to say, Dave, thanks for picking good weather for our vacation.
Actually, Jen picked the date, not me.
Perfect. And there's no reference to a hammerhead being anything to do with Commissioner Hamercheck, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Love you too.
There's 2 M's in that hammerhead.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh my. On that, all right. So, David, anything else? Are you good?
No, I'm good.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone? Hi. Sir, welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. If you
Good
can
morning.
state your name and address for the
I'm
record.
Tom Machuzak, and I'm the property owner for this address, and I really appreciate the commission's time for helping me through this process. It's been a long slug here. This vacation it looks like a large lot, but as you step back towards the creek, it drops down, and that's in a 100-year floodplain. So I have very limited land, and so this is going to make it possible for me to have the proper setback with the zoning commission, and everybody I've been working with has been very helpful, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for all your help with this.
Well, thank you for joining us today, sir. Much appreciated.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no one further, the board asks that any written comments on the proposed road vacation be sent to our clerk at this time. So with that, if there's nothing further, I will adjourn this public hearing and we will roll into our regularly scheduled commissioners meeting. So with that said, welcome to the 19th meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. Would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority. And may we use our directives for the common good, and for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present.
Commissioner Regovich.
Here.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. All right, this brings us to our first public comment portion. We do have some guests with us here. We have our Senior Services Director, Aaliyah. There you are.
Hello.
Please.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
I'm here today just to brief the board on a new program for seniors that came out of a recent project involving the Cleveland Federal Community Leadership Institute, or CFCLI, class of 2023. So the mission of the CFCLI is to identify and develop leaders who are committed to advancing greater cooperation among federal agencies and strengthening community partnerships. As part of the CFCLI program, participants are assigned to a team that is tasked with developing a community service project. In October 2022, we were approached by one of the teams to assist with their service project area, which was seniors. The team is comprised of the following 4 individuals: Susan Troca from the U.S. Department of Defense, who is also a Wickliffe resident; Brian Traban from the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs; Nick Noggle, also from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs; and Mike Power from the U.S. Coast Guard. I'm actually going to have Nick and Brian come up, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about the new program.
Excellent, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Traband, and I'm with the CFL-CI leadership class of 2023. So I'd just like to say thank you to Aaliyah and Kristen, who have been very, very helpful with our project for seniors. And basically how this looks is we apply through our employer to get into the leadership program, and then they choose and select who gets selected, and then we get various projects. So this is one of probably 4 or 5 projects that we have to do, and this is the most extensive one. We got to choose what our project was, and so when we chose seniors, a lot of the reasoning for that for me is because, you know, I have a strong affinity towards helping seniors. My grandparents raised me. I'm not too far from being a senior. And so, you know, thank goodness Suzanne Troca, who's here behind me, she reached out and put the feelers out to the commissioners, to Aaliyah and Kristen, and we got up and running with the senior project that Nick's going to tell you about. And it has been such a wonderful experience, and I'll never forget this project that we're doing. It's been really helpful, and I'm glad to be of assistance in any capacity for this project. So thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you.
I am Nick Noggle. I'm also from the VA. I'm a nurse working pre-op in PACU. Commissioners, thank you for your time today and everyone here in Lake County. Our program, we, as Brian said, reached out to Aaliyah and Kristen, who are awesome. You guys are, the seniors here are very lucky to have them working with them. What we came forth with is a program called Are You OK? And what it is a phone program that seniors in the Lake County area can sign up for. And the program calls them daily and checks in on them. And the senior then lets them know that they're okay, that they're able to answer the phone. If they can't answer the phone or don't answer the phone, we've partnered with Lifeline and Carrie from Lifeline, and a sheet will print out for their staff to call the next of kin to say, hey, have you talked to Mr. Smith? And if not, then the next step would be to reach out to the sheriffs or the police to do a well check. So it is very beneficial for your seniors. It checks in with them, and it's partnering with your Phone a Friend program. I forget the actual Phone Pal. So we're partnering with them to benefit the seniors here in Lake County. So again, thank you for agreeing to let us help the seniors in your community.
Excellent. Appreciate the initiative. Gentlemen, anything you want to add?
Mr. President,
Sir.
Suzanne, Brian, Nick, Mike, we just want to say thank you. One of the things that really makes Lake County special is that we understand the importance of helping people to retire and live in their own homes, to age in place. We want to be a community where you can stay your entire life, not a fly-by-night or you're just here for your career. And the work that you're doing with the Phone Pal program, this special project, is another way for people to be safe in their own homes and to know that their community cares about them. So this is a major contribution. It's an amazing idea. I'm really glad that you brought this to the table, and not only the idea, but the help and the hard work to make it a reality. So on behalf of Lake County, I know we're all very grateful. Thank you.
Excellent. Mr. Radovich.
I totally agree with Commissioner Pleshnik. I see a lot of people who don't want to leave their neighborhoods here. They want to stay in Lake County, and we do a great job in Lake County to want those people to stay. Anything we can do to help get the word out through senior centers, through whatever we can do, I'd be more than glad to put it out there. So that's great, and I think it's working well. As you heard the phone ring, but Commissioner Pleshnik is probably too young.
Wellness check on the commissioners.
Excellent. Oh, yes, yes, I'm being reminded. Again, it's not official until the photos. So please join us.
I just want to mention too for the public that this is scheduled to launch early July, and it will run through 211 through Lifeline, so we will have more information as we get closer to our launch date.
Everybody get started. No one escapes.
Nobody escapes.
Excellent. All right, so that brings us to our actual first public comment. Mr. Massey, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Hammercheck. Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. First item, I'd like to talk about items 13, 14, and 15. That's on today's agenda. I see that you will be approving resolutions appointing reappointing 3 individuals to the Lake Tran Board of Trustees. And I'd like to mention to the commissioners, if I haven't mentioned before, I'll tell you what I told the trustees some time ago, and that was I would like them to rescind the 2019 0.25% sales tax that was passed by the voters for a couple reasons. One is that the reason for the sales tax was to increase the services, what they call essential services of Dial-A-Ride. That has since been changed, so they've changed the deal on the taxpayers, and it's now on a first-come, first-served basis. So that's one issue, and then the second issue is they don't need the money. They're flush with cash. And what I'd like to see happen, if that is rescinded, that then gives the commissioners the opportunity to use that 0.25% without increasing the taxes on the people. That could be used for the building of the jail. I do know that the 0.5% that the Lake Tran collects, they're collecting $22.5 million per year on their 0.5% sales tax. So a 0.25% would tell me that they're going to generate about $11 million. I was told that all we really need to build the entire jail is $8 million a year. So the 0.25% that the Lake Tran is collecting would automatically pay. So they would have to rescind it, and then I would take it that the commissioners then would have to pass a resolution collecting the 0.25%. That's just my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your insights. Okay, anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone else wishing to address the board? All right, moving on to our first agenda item. Madam Clerk.
In the engineer's office, resolution approving the revised estimate of costs and authorizing re-advertising for bids for the LAK Booth Road, County Road 535-0.24 Bridge Rebid Project in the city of Kirtland, Ohio, Federal Project Number E230160, PID number 117512, LCE Project Number 2022-018, bid opening June 21st, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? No? All right, then. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Water Fund and Project Fund 595, Tall Tree Booster Station Improvement Project 414W 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Water Operating Fund and Project Fund 595, Lakeshore Boulevard Waterline Replacement and Service Transfer Seabourn to Vine Street Project 466W 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Water Fund and Project Fund 595, New Armor Stone Revetment at Bacon Road Water Treatment Facility, Project 473W 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Randy, do you want to give some background on that one?
Thank you, Commissioner. You may be aware, about 5 years ago, we did a shore protection project at our Bacon Road raw water pump station. That was about 600 feet. Since then, the shore has been eroding to the west surprisingly fast. So this is an extension of that shore protection to make sure that the water lines, the raw water lines that go from our pump station to our treatment plant are protected from that erosion.
Excellent. Okay, anything further? Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving plan specifications and estimates of cost in the amount of $404,500 for Industrial Park Sanitary Sewer Contract 2, Project Number 415S, and advertising for bids for the same, bid opening June 7th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of contracts for various water and wastewater chemicals for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Now, Jennifer, notice how you didn't have to pronounce all those different chemicals?
I know. Thank you. Until the next resolution. Resolution rejecting the bids received on March 15, 2023 for chlorine and sodium bisulfite for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I hope we'll have enough sodium bisulfite because we need to keep that flavor. But I assume on the recommendation of the Department of Utilities that the bids were appropriately rejected.
Agreed. Randy, anything you want to comment on?
No, we bid out the chemicals every 2 years, so we can have a price, so we can make our budgets based on those costs. And these two, we didn't get any bids that could guarantee their price for 2 years. So we're going to go and continue to buy at the current market rate until we can get a commitment for a longer period of time.
Got it. Thank you. Sir?
For the record, there is no flavor, right?
There is no flavor.
I respectfully disagree.
The magic is in the mix, gentlemen.
Tastes like Lake County.
Madam Clerk, as I always like to say, save us. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of an engineering agreement with Environmental Design Group for the Aquarius Water Treatment Plant Transmission Main Study for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
This is the age of Aquarius.
Good one.
He needs to go on vacation more often.
Yeah. Let's go back out into the woods. There was too much fresh air and sunshine this morning. It does put us in a better mood, though. I have to admit that. So, with that being said, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of an engineering agreement with KS Associates Incorporated for the new armor stone revetment at the Bacon Road Water Treatment Facility project 473W 2023 for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Randy, anything you want to add or no? Okay. All right. There's nothing heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of an engineering agreement with Euthenix Incorporated for the Lakeshore Boulevard Waterline Replacement and Service Transfer Project 466W 2023, Seabourn to Vine Street for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving Lake County Department of Job and Family Services vouchers, date of warrant May 19, 2023, in the amount of $610,021.04.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of agreements between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and various entities and organizations for the fiscal year 2022 and prior year community development block grant funds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution reappointing Brian Falkowski to the Lake Tran Board of Trustees for a 3-year term expiring May 15, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution reappointing Lane H. Sheets to the Lake Tran Board of Trustees for a 3-year term expiring May 15, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution reappointing Kim Stanger to the Lake Tran Board of Trustees for a 3-year term expiring May 15, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I would just say with respect to Kim Stanger in particular, we're incredibly grateful for her service to Lake Tran. As someone who has overcome and wrestled with disabilities her entire life, to have a career, to contribute to her community, she not only brings an important perspective to the Lake Tran Board, because Lake Tran is a lifeline to her and allows her to travel and traverse the county and do her good work, she also continues to inspire people in this role. So we're very grateful to Kim for contributing her time to one of Lake County's most important institutions.
Thank you, sir. Well said. All right, there's nothing further. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of a contract between Security Automation Systems and the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Telecommunications Department for the Lake County Jail Intercom System retrofit.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Director Stefanko, do you have anything you want to add, sir? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Commissioners, before you is, for your consideration, is a resolution to replace the current intercom system in the jail. It is 33 years old. It was installed when the jail was constructed. It has failed several times in the past year, and we've been able to restore it with a simple reset. Currently, there are no spare parts available. There is no company that will work on it. Resetting it may not work the next time. State minimum standards require communication between the cells and the corrections officers, and that's what the intercom does for them. The jail cannot properly function without this intercom. The proposed intercom system is capable of using the existing wiring and the existing speakers that are in the cells themselves that will save us hundreds of thousands of dollars by not replacing those. Currently, the system that we are requesting approval for is also specified by HOK architects in other jails. If approved and a new jail is constructed, there is a likelihood that HOK will use the same intercom in the new jail and will be able to use parts from this purchase to repair or replace components of the intercom system in the new jail. This is available for purchase on the state term schedule. This does not require the bid process. I did visit Medina County Jail 2 weeks ago and looked at this very same intercom system, and they did the same thing 2 years ago. Their jail was built in 1996, and they replaced their intercom system using the same wiring and the same speakers in their cells, and they're very happy with it. With that, this is manufactured by Harding Intercom. It is a Canadian company, and the parts are more available than they would be if they were manufactured overseas. This would be a general fund purchase, and that's my request. And I can answer your questions if you have any.
Just want to give some background on why the wiring is so important to be able to preserve.
The existing wiring in the jail, when they built the jail, the conduits that they used were flexible plastic conduits, and they put those in the floor. And then they poured the concrete over the top of the conduits. Well, when they were doing this, they were stepping on the conduits, and they crushed the conduits. So replacing the wiring in the jail would require putting in new conduits, and that would be incredibly time-consuming and expensive. So I've been looking for an intercom system that didn't require new cabling, because it would cost too much money in a jail that is likely going to be replaced. So this is the least cost option as far as getting an intercom system in a jail that we may only need for 4 or 5 more years.
So that's the history. That's what we got stuck with when we took possession of that building. Just a little history. Yes, we're that old. We've been here that long. So.
Yep.
You had me at least cost option.
All right. Good.
I'm glad we're not going with string and cans, so.
That was Plan B.
That was plan B. Yeah, little runners. Yeah. Very good, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of an agreement between the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Sheriff's Department and the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, deputized sergeants and lieutenants and court sergeants expiring March 31st, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I would just extend thanks again to Sheriff Liam Bruno and Chief Deputy Izzo for the incredible amount of hard work that they put into negotiating these contracts that recognize the great contribution that our safety services provides to Lake County while also being fiscally sustainable. So it's not easy to balance those interests, but you did so very, very astutely, and we're grateful for the hard work on your part as well as the hard work that our deputies always provide.
Thank you. All right, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of an agreement between the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Sheriff's Department and the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association non-commissioned corrections sergeants and lieutenants expiring March 31st, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $2,648,854.28.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $4,743,403.04.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing and decreasing appropriations for various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution transferring an appropriation within a non-general fund account.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. All right, this brings us to our departmental reports portion of our meeting, utilities.
Thank you, Commissioner. I wanted to announce that our Lake County Utilities and Solid Waste District first household hazardous waste collection will be on June 10th at the fairgrounds from 8 to 2 o'clock. That and our fall collection are now our only special collections that we have every year. We now offer appliances and TVs and tires drop off at the landfill 12 months out of the year now. So anytime that the landfill is open, you can drop off those items at the landfill to be recycled.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, sir. Anything for utilities? Thank you. Job and Family Services.
No report today, Commissioner.
Thank you. County Administrator.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yeah, just briefly, I know I have sent the Commissioners an email on a potential board that we need to create for the building department. It's called a residential appeals board that's used very, very rarely in the event there's an issue with the Board of Building Codes and their rules, and kind of like a Board of Zoning Appeals, if you will, at the local level. So I will continue to work on this board at the request of Mr. Trichko. Mr. DeLeon's been helping us. Essentially, the Residential Appeals Board will include, per statute, Ohio licensed attorney, registered architect, registered PE, specializing in structural engineering, PE specializing in mechanical engineering, and then a discretionary appointment to the board. So this is something that Dave has had on our radar for a while. I want to let the Commissioners know that that's something I'll be moving on sooner rather than later. So if you have any particular folks who meet one of those 5 criteria, let me know and we'll get to work on it. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, moving on. Do we have anything from our clerk?
Yes, the next Commissioner meeting will be on Thursday, May 18th at 10 a.m.
We do have finance here.
I'll pass.
No, he's going to take a pass. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to legal, sir.
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you. County Engineer. Gotcha. Just a little brief background though. We are looking at every possibility, funding opportunities, everything's still being looked at with a fine tooth comb, just to be clear that it's not a stagnant process. Okay, moving on to old business. Do you have any old business to come before the board? Any old business? All right, moving on to new business. Any new business? Got a couple of hopefully quick ones. A couple of the County Commissioners Association meetings. The big one was the Public Safety Committee and Justice. Big issue going on down in Columbus is Next Generation 911. There are a number of activities in regards to that. A lot of it is centering on the current funding, which is at 25 cents. Looking to move that to 64 cents, and they're looking to focus it to any device that is capable of accessing 911. Because of the level of complexity and all the technology, that is one of the things that we're finding, that public safety answering points, commonly referred to as PSAPs, we are throughout the state having trouble not only funding the technology, but maintaining it as well as staffing the facilities. So there is a great deal of sensitivity, and I'm not trying to pull any legs here, sensitivity, the distinction between a fee for service and a claim of this is a new tax. So one of the big things pushing this has to do with voice over IP and a move away from the good old-fashioned copper phone lines that were all pretty much everybody had accepted. Another one of the topics had to do with local government funds. That one is still continuing to be challenged. That's at about 72% of where it was, and there's a move to try to put some sort of base in place, guaranteeing something that we can all kind of budget. One of the suggestions was to guarantee $100 million to be distributed per policy. Lake County, again, laboring under the alternate local government fund formula, other counties doing somewhat different. And then getting into indigent defense, that was one of the other big topics of discussion when the state went to full reimbursement. A number of counties did increase their pay for those services. That the benchmark that they were looking for was $75 per hour. That had been, in some cases, exceeded. Other counties are basically paying the gap. One of the challenges associated with that, though, had to do with, as we're experiencing, we're looking at relocating our public defender's office. So we need to kind of get that, again, on the radar and openly discuss that that's a cost, but it is a potentially reimbursable, or at least a portion of it would be reimbursable. So those are the kinds of things that we need to be, again, actively working on. Also, we had a One Ohio Region 13 meeting and follow-up with the Attorney General's Office Assigned Counsel, still continuing to see where we're at with the litigation taking place in Columbus against the Foundation Board. There are no updates on that. The Attorney General's Office, we're working directly with them to find out where we're at on a go-forward basis with legal representation for the regional boards. That is one of the cloudy concerns right now. We did get support to stand up the boards, but that has now come to the conclusion once we've adopted the bylaws. Technically we are up, but there's no funding, and there is obviously, you can't go forward. I'm going to look over our legal. You can't go forward without legal at your side. So these are interesting waters. The Foundation Board is aware of the concerns, and the AG is working on this diligently to give us some closure on that, but a lot of it has to do with who are the statutory clients, and that's where it gets kind of muddy. One of the other things, I attended the Lake Metropolitan Housing Authority meeting last night, and I have to say it was a pleasure attending a meeting with positive, energized people who are true servants. I just saw, it's a pleasure going to a meeting with that many smiles. And they were just really doing the work that they were tasked with. And they're looking at how they can do more. So that was kind of a happy, infectious meeting to go to. And infectious in a good way, especially in these days, I have to clarify that. But yeah, that was something that I was really impressed with how passionate they were about their service to community. So is there any other new business to come before this board? Thank you. Oh, Sheriff, yes, sir.
Good morning. I think it's important that we'd hear from the finance director today, if that's okay. No? Oh, okay. I just, there's been a lot of major incidents that people are seeing, shootings at malls and around the country. And I wanted to relay how well, at least Lake County law enforcement, fire services, and medical services and dispatching is responding to this. Over the past 5 years, there is a growing effort among all law enforcement, fire service, dispatching, and medical services to prepare for such an incident should it come to Lake County. So we've had a mass casualty drill at Harvey High School. We've had one at the courthouse. We have had one at Auburn Career Center, Riverside High School. This summer in June, we will be going to the west end of Lake County and having one at Willoughby South High School. And what that involves is all those services working together. What do we do when the call comes in? How do we respond? So one portion of this year's training is getting all the dispatching agencies in Lake County and telecommunicators trained as part of this drill. And then when the initial call comes in, how do we handle that? How do responding agencies proceed to the scene? How does police and fire and medical services work together, not only to contain the incident, but respond if there's anything with mass casualty? And this would apply not only to schools, but to businesses, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a large chain store, shopping mall. And so I think it's important that the citizens understand what that whole part of training is going on in Lake County and how it benefits the citizens. So it's coming up in June.
Excellent point, sir. I just wanted to add, though, a lot of this is, again, the level of professionalism and experience. A lot of it comes from Perry Nuclear Power Plant, the associated responsibilities there, but our chemical plants, our rail, our freeway system. Lake County does have a ongoing reputation, despite any political differences that may exist within the county. Our safety forces, the level of cohesiveness, professionalism, the overlapping, and I'm going to say non-territorial. There's pride in service, but the non-territorial approach to addressing situations, it is definitely something that is noted and reflected. Commissioner Plechik, I believe you had something to add, sir?
Mr. President, I would just say, since the sheriff came forward, I would hope that residents will tune into our next commissioners meeting next week at 10 a.m. because we're going to be taking a moment to recognize one of our deputy sheriffs, the school resource officer for Auburn Career Center, Mike Reed, who recently saved a life. Mary Feathers, someone very well known to our community, a volunteer, someone whose husband was also very involved, rest his soul, was choking, and Deputy Reed performed the Heimlich maneuver and saved her life. And Mary called me yesterday and said, it's so important to me that I'd be able to personally thank the sheriff for what he did for me, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And she asked if she could come to the commissioners meeting to publicly thank him. And so I think it'll be a wonderful opportunity to highlight the extraordinary professionalism and care that all your deputy sheriffs provide, because they've all taken the oath to save lives, and they literally do. So a great thanks to Deputy Sheriff Mike Reed for his extraordinary contribution, and I hope a lot of people will tune in, because Mary, it was just important to Mary to be able to say thank you for saving her life.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Mr. President.
Sir.
So I was asked one time if our police department's trained for a specific event, and the event happened to be, there was a circus that used to come to Willowick, and if an elephant got loose and ran down the street, and our police chief stood up and said, we don't train to if an elephant, we train for everything. And that's hard to do because no two circumstances are the same. But that continual training is key. And what we're doing out to build the training facility, I think will go a long way in Lake County, because we can do these things 3D and have more people get involved, I hope, in Lake County, so that when these incidents do, or if they happen, we're ready to go. And a lot of people have that in the back of their mind. Would they be able to do this if this happens? And it doesn't work unless we all cooperate. It doesn't work unless Lake County's together on this. I've seen that in day-to-day patrolling and everything else we do in the county. So I applaud your efforts to keep that up and keep going.
Well, it's a group effort by all the fire chiefs, police chiefs, and telecommunicators, so it's a great effort. And by the way, elephant training is in August.
Thank you. Sir?
Nice. Anyways, I would like to know where these elephants are gone because I want to load check the bridges.
Oh my. I am resisting
They wreak-
so many
they wreak
elephant
havoc
drum
on the
jokes here,
lawn.
so- And I can't even look to the clerk to save us on this one. All right, if there's no further new business. Oh, sir, do you want to come up under new business or public comment?
Public comment.
Oh, then we're going to segue right into public comment. Come on up. We're gonna.
He gets to be first.
There you go. You got your running shoes on. Literally in this case, I see.
I'm Marty Hiller. I'm the director of the Lake County Free Clinic. I just would like to publicly announce that tomorrow is the ribbon cutting of our new permanent home on Chardon Street here in Painesville. While I know the commissioner's schedule won't allow them to be there tomorrow, I know there's going to be good representation from other county members. And I would encourage the commissioners, whenever you have the opportunity, to come and see what we've done to the building and how we've made a real permanent resource for the community. There are literally thousands of people yet in our area, and with the unwinding of Medicaid, anticipating even more, who struggle with finding affordable health care. And we are sort of the safety net underneath all of that, and are pleased now to say that our facility can support that. It can support the growth, and we live in a community that has shown past evidence of being willing to support the efforts that we're able to undertake to assure a healthy community. So by all means, whenever you're able, please stop by and say hello. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All righty. Anyone else wish to address the board at this time? Sir?
Michael Paul, 7665 Manor Avenue, number 325. I would just like to urge one thing, and I'd let everybody know. I know it's like beating a dead horse, this topic, but the reason being, I'm going to bring it up, I'll explain in a minute. I would like everybody to keep the law enforcement and the people in uniform at the first priority in your business and in finance and etc. And the reason being is, without them, we're not going to be sitting here in peace. Without them, Lake Train won't be running. Without them, Lakeland will not be running. So please, and I know you're pro-law enforcement because you're Republicans, and I have many Democrats who are pro-law enforcement also, friends. But saying that, we got the tide now. We're called the party of law enforcement. Please keep them at the top priority, and see what we can do to help out the sheriff even more with whatever they need. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Music.
John Music, 45 Coventry Drive. I'll make this quick. Just FYI, I'm sure you know, I know the sheriff knows, Title 42 ends today, and that has to do with immigration coming across our border. And, we've had these incidents here, and I know the sheriff talks to the National Sheriff's Association. I have one of the times that I was in D.C. And what is happening down at our borders is happening here and will be only getting worse. Just like now, the Border Patrol is saying they're receiving 9,000 to 10,000 people a day, and they have no idea who they are or why they're coming. And as we all know, asylum means you come to the first country that is safe. 90% of the asylum cases in the United States are not passed. People have to return back. The reasons they're saying are not valid in their opinion. So therefore, all I'm saying is the sheriff is going to be very, very, very busy. all law enforcement, not just our sheriff. Our border patrol is overwhelmed and everything. And just remember this, Lake County is a border county. And, you know, like I've said before in these meetings, is that, you know, hey, it happens in California or Texas, Arizona, or Florida. Oh, we don't care about that. But when it starts happening here, and it is, and you can just imagine how much is happening that we don't know about. So the thing about it is I want to thank our law enforcement, because without them, we will not have a country, and without our military, also as far as our country goes. But we have the county sheriff, and he does a great job for us, but I'm sorry, I believe his hands are he's going to get very, very busy, sadly. I hope not, but that's what I am hearing. So, thanks to the Sheriff's Department for what they do, and we're going to have to give them the tools they need to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Massey, I believe you had your hand up.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive, on behalf of Lobbyists for Citizens. This is an issue that I'm pretty passionate about. I gave copies of a letter that I've sent hand-delivered to the prosecutor, mentor prosecutor, Lisa Clammer, and to the Mentor on Lake prosecutor, Mr. Gurley. Lobbyists for Citizens has been working with an Ohio group called Protecting Ohio Children, and also been working with the local mentor group. And the issue is that the pornographic books that are appearing in public schools throughout Ohio and in the Mentor School District. I'm using Mentor School District, but I probably could use any of the other 8 school districts, but I'm focusing on Mentor right now because I've worked closely with the Mentor groups where we have actually gone through books that are in the library, and we have deemed them pornographic. Now there are many books that we still object to, but we're not into book banning. We think it's more age appropriate that we're trying to address. But there's the Ohio Revised Code 2907-321 that specifically mentions pandering obscenities to a minor and to impaired persons. That is I believe, a second-degree felony. So I've attended many Mentor school district meetings, and the school board seems to be a bit dysfunctional, in my opinion. So I'm reaching out to the prosecutors, Mentor and Mentor on the Lake, and as I mentioned to Mr. Hackman a little earlier, I'm also reaching out to Prosecutor Colson, because there are residents in Concord Township that they are part of the Mentor School District. So by addressing the letter to Clammer and to Gurley, they were telling me that they're not really represented either. So I'm looking for help also from Prosecutor Colson, and the help is this. We would like to see written policies by the Mentor School District that states that they are going to comply with the Ohio Revised Code 2907-321, and they are going to ensure that the books are not on the library shelves, and they cannot be brought in by the teachers, because I am told in the state of Ohio that there are many teachers that are bringing pornographic books into the classroom and making them available or showing them to the children, and I find that to be reprehensible. So I want to make sure that any policies written by the school districts ensures that there are consequences for any teacher that brings this type of material into the classroom, and the consequences would be up and including termination of employment. So I know that there's nothing that the commissioners can do specifically on this, but I want to make you aware this is an issue that I'm drawing a line in the sand. I'm not going to back off, and I want to hear what the prosecutors, including Prosecutor Colson, I want to hear why they can't help the citizens of Lake County with this very repulsive issue. Thank you very much.
So I'll just refer to your Exhibit A, pornographic books, and just some of the names that are out here: Genderqueer, Identical, Lawn Boy, Melissa, Out of the Darkness.
Yeah, those are just representations. I could have listed, another 10 books, because we've gone through more, and then I just realized we could just keep on going and nothing is ever going to get done. So the books are merely as exhibits or representations of what we consider pornographic. Now the books, those 4 or 5 books, they may not appear in the Mentor Library, but I can give you, another 10 just last week that we know that there were. So the idea is, what I've been told is that the books, if they appear in the library and someone complains and they go through a book check and they say, oh yes, that is pornographic, we'll remove it, somehow it magically appears back on the library shelves. But the thing that really concerns me is that if there are any teachers that are bringing these books into the classroom that they deem personally appropriate, that is very concerning to me. So I don't want to say that the exhibits that the books that I've listed in that Exhibit A, those are the ones that we really want to focus on. Those are just really representations of the pornography that we see in the schools.
And in case anybody should be questioning what your definition of pornography is, the information you provided to us shows clear acts of fellatio. If you don't know what that word means, look it up in the dictionary, ladies and gentlemen.
I was reluctant to, give them, I don't feel comfortable doing that, but I didn't know of any other way. I was told that I cannot just list the names and the authors of the book, that I must show representation. This is not a copyright infringement or anything. It's just a representation so that people understand that we're not trying to ban a book that we don't agree with. We are trying to ban a book that we believe is not in compliance or it violates the ORC 2907-321.
Mr. President?
Sir.
Who's in charge of approving books? Is that different by district?
I don't know. I can tell you in Mentor that if there is a book challenge, I think they have a group of 10 people that are reading books and then make an assessment. Hopefully I'm correct on that, but I think I am correct. I'm just talking about Mentor. I'm not sure what the other 8 school districts do. It's a big enough challenge right now just trying to address the Mentor one.
And just a quick scan, the language in some of these paragraphs, they would put a Harlequin romance novel to shame, and that's for adults. If this is reflective of what is being shared with our children, I have to say your concern is well justified, sir.
Thank you, and I do appreciate the opportunity to mention that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal, do we need to incorporate this into our meeting minutes, or this is just given to us for background? It doesn't actually have to become a...
There's no requirement that it be.
Okay.
It's up to the board.
Trying to be delicate. So, thank you. All right, anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Oh, yes, sir. Mayor, welcome.
Morning, Commissioners. John Marr, 39 Minnewawa Drive, Timberlake. I want to bring up something. Tomorrow morning, NOACA is having a Finance and Audit Committee meeting. The reason why I want to bring it up here is because I'll be able to address it tomorrow, but I'm only going to get 3 minutes, and they're going to time me out at that. And I've got major concerns, and I think because 4 of the 2 board members are here, and only 2 are going to be on the Finance Committee tomorrow. Excuse me. They've got an operating budget of $13,605,000 this year. And operating budget expenditures are $13,905,000, but the revenue coming in is $13,605,000, which is short. But now I noticed that $11 million of that, $11,008,000 of that is from federal, which is our gas tax dollars. Now I know one thing. I've been going to many of the latest meetings since January, and all they talk about is climate change. I went to the workshop meeting. They did discuss about some construction, bridge, and road projects, but these are projects that aren't going to be built and designed until for 10, 20 years and 30 years down the road. A lot of these have to do with the CO2 reduction and all that about the American Rescue money. And then just recently, we were supposed to submit applications for grants for CO2 reduction on several ideas, like one was trails and commuting, charging stations, and so forth. Well, we got to have all the information in by May 5th, and these aren't projects that aren't going to get funded or built until 2028 and 2029. And I know we have to meet the criteria for global emissions for 2030, reduce it by 63% I guess I don't understand how we're going to get all that done when these projects aren't going to get done for a year or two before that deadline. So I guess my whole concern is, I'm going to bring up tomorrow, is that, I mean, they're focusing all their time. I mean, year after year goes by, they've got a $13 million operating budget, and what are we seeing out of it? What are we getting out of it? All they're doing is focusing everything. And I notice also they have on Facebook, they're advertising, they want over a dozen positions available. They want to add more to their 43-person that they already have on employment. So again, they're building a system, but it's all about climate change, and then where the money's coming from. If this is our gas tax dollars that is funding them, why aren't we getting those tax dollars distributed between us? Anyway, so again, I'll be bringing that up tomorrow at the NOACA meeting and ask them these same questions pretty much, and hopefully get an answer. Second thing I'd like to talk about is some questions. Jason Boyd had given me the contract for HOK, excuse me, and also the budget's amount that they came up with. And in the contract, their budget proposal was for $100 million. We gave them a $404,000 contract for that to basically put together planning. They were supposed to have design professionals. They should submit the final master programming schedule, which I'm sure we got, because that was supposed to be submitted 14 days from the signing of the contract. And also, well, anyway, so getting on with that, I noticed through the budget, going through here, they had the costs of, total cost for new construction was 101, this is now on the high end, 101,446,000. And then right under that, they have a design contingency of $10 million. Now, if you have total construction, if you have 100 million, that's great, but now they've got 10 million in design contingency. Then if you go down further, they've got another $18 million, $29 in total design and management. And I guess what I understand is, that's 18% of 100 million, which is a lot of money, and then another 10% commission. So that's, between the two, you've got 28% that we're given for design and management of a $100 million project. I mean, I guess there's a lot of confusion there. And then at the end, they've got another $11 million contingency. And the other question I'm asking is the ITAV, which is in reservations, is another 8.9 million, almost 9 million. So, I mean, I can see how they come up with the 170 million. But again, these aren't all costs directly related to that I see. And then I see a lot of costs here in design and management of this, that why are we paying that much? I mean, I think we have a lot of local talent, brilliant engineers, contractors that can maybe step up and work together. Maybe we can build this thing in-house, okay, with all the talent that we do have in Lake County. I know it's a major project, but I'm a contractor. I'm not afraid of anything. I take on any job, small or big. And the only difference between a small job and a big job is just more zeros at the end, really. When it comes to that, I mean, if you plan it out right, there should be no reason. And again, we need to build this jail. We need to find a way to do it without raising taxes. And I feel that between some of the money we have on reserves and some money that we can potentially save on doing our due diligence and getting this built as most cost effective as possible is the way to go. So, thank you.
I appreciate your passion. I appreciate your enthusiasm. And I'm not trying to make light of your offer, but this is not a good old-fashioned barn raising. This is the single largest capital expense in the history of Lake County government. There's a reason why we are not trying to repeat the mistakes of the past. I know we've got Director Stefanko was here when that was being contemplated, when that building was being executed. I've said it before, I'll say it again, that building was obsolete the day this county took possession of it. They built it to state minimum standards, and we have been paying the price ever since we took possession of it. You heard just an example of it today, just regarding the intercom system. It is to the technicians' credit that they've been able to keep that thing on life support this long. It's just one problem after the other. I did see Jason Boyd. I don't know if you wanted to comment, sir, on any of these points, but I you know, if you don't mind, Jason can probably address some of your questions more directly than I can.
Sure, I just want to say though, but I think 28% giving in for design and management is very excessive on a $100 million project, so that's all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Jason?
Mr. President, before Jason begins, I do want to say I think it would be very helpful if, Jason, you could take the time to sit down with Mayor Mara and run him through some of the process that we've gone through to reach this point, just to make sure that we're all talking about the same numbers. I know that you'll give a brief response now, but I want to make sure that we're fully open and transparent. The mayor is a stakeholder like every other elected official in the county, and we want to make sure that he understands how we came to this point. That doesn't mean that he'll agree with the ultimate decision or that he won't have proposals to improve where we're at, but I do think it's important that we take the time to make sure that he understands literally the step-by-step process we've gone since, I would say, really 2017, I think was the date of the one of our studies. To kind of collectively come to the point of HOK and the design build agreement that we're all reviewing together. I just want to make sure that we answer every question, and we're grateful for you to step up and give a brief response, but I want to make sure that the mayor has full access.
Absolutely, I'm happy to do so. I enjoy speaking with the mayor. I just on some of the contingencies and design costs, etc. I just think it's important to note that those are based off of the program, which is the square footage analysis, kind of the SWOT analysis. What space do we need? Hopefully the mayor is right and those numbers aren't what they are, but that is the rough order of magnitude estimate that we see in projects of this size and scale without a proverbial line on a blueprint. That would be the next stage should we go. I hope the mayor's right that those numbers are much, much less. But from a programmatic and a budgeting, kind of what ballpark are we in? Not even in the first inning, quite frankly, on the design. We know the scope and we know the magnitude, we know the square footage, but assuming we start the HOK contract stage 2 in the next couple weeks, around the holidays, I'll be very general, Thanksgiving to Christmas, we would begin to see that first construction estimate, as I noted a week or two ago. HOK is starting to design based on the program, and then our design build team will begin to vet that analysis on the costing. So I hope the mayor is right. Man, do I ever. But at this point, the architect's job via the results of the program are the rough order of magnitude. So there are probably some assumptions baked into that number, but I would rather get to October, November, December and not be surprised based on what we knew last year. So happy to sit down with the mayor at any point in time and chat through it and pick any ideas, strategies that will help this product in the long run. So for sure.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Madam Clerk, I apologize. There was one thing under new business that I forgot to make note of, if I can throw that into the conversation. County Auditor Galloway, during our data board meeting yesterday, did want me to bring forward to this board to just give us yet another thing to put on our to-do list for general fund expenses. The finance software, the Munis software, is dated, and it is this version is coming to end of service life, so we need to be preparing to do a upgrade and possible replacement on that. So I wanted to enter that into the conversation. Again, Madam Clerk, I apologize for forgetting that under new business. So that was the message, yet another little punch list item. So if there's no other business or no other public comment before this board, sir.
I'm Chris Weiss from Leroy. Well, the last couple months have been interesting. There seems to be the core of the whole discussion is how we're going to fund this jail. And it seems that the key point of contention seems to be that Commissioner Pleshnik believes this can be done without a tax increase, and Commissioner Hamerchak and Commissioner Regovich previously voted to make a modest increase in taxes to get that done. Personally, I come from the worldview that paying taxes is fundamentally un-American. So I'm generally not interested in paying taxes unless I have to. But I also am pragmatic enough to know that when there's no other way to do it, that's simply what has to be done. Commissioner Pleshnik, you have stated many times that you have a plan to do this that does not require raising taxes. Only place that I could find anything that you enumerated that plan was in the Lake County Tribune, January 23rd edition. You make a number of statements in there. First thing, you agree that the jail will cost $170 million on the top end. You also say that, put my glasses on here, that we have a general fund surplus of $6 to $8 million a year, which turns out not to be true. The actual surplus is more in the $3 million range, and that's per statements made by our budget finance director. You also state that numerous funds can be poured into the bucket, so to speak, of the jail fund, and we've heard numerous times from Commissioner Colson that funds such as Deepwood, the Crime Lab, Utilities, Adams Board, Narcotics, Veteran Services, and Lake Tran by statute cannot be done. You also double counted the rainy day fund and the permanent improvement fund. You also agreed that Lake County could pay a $50 to $70 million down payment. I think that part of this, the problem here is that you are failing to recognize $100 to $150 million in unfunded liabilities that could crop up, which in some cases you may or may not have control over. Things like a juvenile justice center, and these are numbers I've gotten by talking to various people in the county, $50 million. A morgue for the coroner, $15 million. Improvements to the emergency operations center, roof and upgrades at $4.5 or $20 million for a new one. Court records management, which I'm told is a general fund expense, would be $3 million. Wouldn't that be great if our clerk of courts would put some of her multi-million-dollar surplus into taking care of that for us instead of funding a sign for the wine region? Court services, prisoner transport storage facility, $5 million. Probate court garage, $350,000. Public defender remodeling the Cannon Stern of any law firm building at $2 to $5 million. Board of Elections storage building roof, $800,000. Property acquisition of the Burger King, $2 million. Other properties that need to be acquired to build the jail, $1 million plus. Motor vehicle expenses, you got the sheriff, the building department, public defender, and auditor all have fleets of vehicles. I tried to gain some knowledge as the size of those fleets, and comes to me, it looks like that's about $500,000 a year in maintenance and expenses and replacement of vehicles and so on and so forth. General maintenance of the buildings and grounds, you have 30 plus buildings, elevators, stairs, roofs. That should be at least $1 million a year, and I think that's an awfully low number for 30 public buildings. Potentially another additional domestic relations judge. The county, I've heard that for the size of our county and the amount of domestic relations work that goes on, we should have 2 judges in that division and not 1. And we all know that if we bring on another judge, they're going to expect to have equal facilities and courtroom and so forth to the other 4 general division and our plus our domestic relations judge. So that could be $8 to $25 million. The one shining ray of hope comes from the veterans. You're required to provide them up to $3.7 million a year, and they're only using $1.7. But the $2 million surplus could be asked for, and you're required by law to give it to them. Children with medical handicaps, $750,000. And then I come to the subject of the last 4 or 5 meetings, roads and bridges, $16.9 million. So my math shows that that's about $112 million with a delta of 35.5 if you have to replace facilities at the higher expense, or $148 million in unfunded liabilities against an annual budget of $74 million, in which 67% is spent on the justice system in its entirety. Fixed costs of 15 to 20% leaves you 13 to 18% to work with. I think that, it's obvious that this county can't afford to build this jail at $170 million without raising taxes someplace, okay? I think that on the auspices that if you're going to build a particular jail because it's required by law, no matter what, then the thing you need to do is hire your company of choice, presumably HOK, to do the engineering, the site analysis, the geotechnical work, and to come to a point where you can put this out for bid and get those bids. It's been talked about, but here as we stand in May 11th, there's been no vote to actually proceed with that. You guys in the past have approved projects such as $4 million for the Captain's Stadium, lighting the clubhouse, after which the owner, Mr. Carfoni, has sold the team. $600,000 of paving in the fairgrounds and $750,000 for or $725, whatever the number is, for a sign for the wine region. All these issues are going to be, you're going to have to deal with, and the stark reality is your bonding agency is going to hold your feet to the fire on all this, okay? And again, Mr. Pleshnik, if you have a plan where this can be done without raising taxes, as a citizen, I would like to see it. I would like to see it on a spreadsheet. I would like it to be succinct as to where the funds would come from and how those the bond debt service would be met until the bonds could be retired, and I'd like it to be vetted and agreed to by all the other stakeholders in the county. Without that, we haven't really gotten very far. And once again, this is probably the 6th time I've said, you guys were elected to make the hard decisions and move the ball forward. So at this point in time, once again, I'm asking you to move the ball forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session. The topic will be real estate acquisition. There will be no business to be conducted afterwards. Do I have a motion to adjourn for the reasons?
Mr. President?
Sir.
Before we adjourn, I just want to say once again, if the question is raise taxes, my answer is no. I was born on the anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. I was born to fight taxes, and the answer will be no every single time. And proof is in the pudding. When we build the jail without raising taxes, you will see how it is done. Yes, I published an article, and I'm proud that I did, in the Lake County Tribune as well as the News Herald and other publications, which laid out how we can do so. That doesn't mean that everyone agrees with me. And it's not easy to do a heavy lift in the biggest project in the history of Lake County. It's not easy to do, and I'm not here to tell you that it's easy to do. It's why years of work and preparation have gone into it. But all commissioners here agree, along with our budget director, that there's over $100 million in the bank. So to say that we could do a down payment in the ballpark of 50 to 70 or even $80 million is clearly possible. To bond out the rest for less than our annual surplus is clearly possible. And last year's surplus, for the record, was $7 million, right in between the number that I shared in the newspaper, looking back at the last 5-6 years for what we've actually brought in. In all likelihood, that surplus will go up for the simple fact of inflation. Everyone has experienced it. We understand that sales taxes and property taxes go up with inflation for the simple fact that they are collected on the purchase price of goods sold and the value of property. I think my property went up about 56%. Thank you to our auditor, Chris Galloway, by the way. I think my value went up 56%, and the average value increase was 17% in Lake County. So yes, we are going to, based on fat math, take in more property taxes and sales taxes, so that surplus that I've cited in all likelihood will be higher. Now, that doesn't mean that reasonable people can't disagree on the financing plan for the jail, and that's what these public meetings are about. But for someone to say that I have not shared my plan when I've published it in multiple newspapers, it's just not accurate, to be quite fair. I respect the fact that you're very passionate about these issues, and you are free to disagree with me, but I've published my plan. I would challenge you to take a position, publish it in the newspaper, and share with your neighbors what you think should happen with the jail. I understand that you're running for elective office. I guess this is your first time doing it. And if you were blessed to win, you will be responsible for answering these hard questions in the position that you would hold. And so I'm happy to answer them, but I did not double count. I accurately stated the numbers. I literally confirmed every number in my op-ed with the auditor's office, which is responsible for submitting those same numbers to the state. So if those numbers are wrong, Lake County has much bigger problems than an op-ed in the newspaper. Those were confirmed by our county auditor's office. So I'm very confident in those numbers. And once again, you could say, I disagree. You could say that we should raise taxes. And that's your plan to pay for the jail. Write an op-ed. Tell the world that you want to raise taxes. My answer to raise taxes is no. But I respect the fact that other people, yourself included, disagree. But please, at least grant me this. I have published my plan. I have put my neck out there. I have opened myself up to critique and criticism, as I should, because a county commissioner or any elected official should share fully transparently what their reasoning is with the voters that they're answerable to. You're right, we are elected. I'm honored that the voters chose to return me to office last November, and I'm accountable and responsible to them, which is why I published my plan. And I'm not here to say I'm perfect or that we can't improve upon it. That's the purpose of these meetings. That's the hard work that we're doing. You also question, why don't we do something? I want to share with you that we have been working with all due speed. My colleagues, Commissioner Regovich, Commissioner Hamercheck, and myself, even as we've debated the finances, we have not slowed down the process one iota. The contract with HOK that you referred to has been under legal review by our prosecutor's office, legal review by HOK, and only now are we finalizing it because it is an enormous contract, as Mayor Mara and yourself have pointed out. We would be remiss to not thoroughly review a contract of this size and this order of magnitude very carefully. So I want to assure you, we're not waiting, we're not debating and taking our time. We have been working on this project with all due speed within the process set forth in the Ohio Revised Code, and I'm personally hopeful that we'll be able to vote on that next step in the next couple of weeks. But we have to have full legal review by our county prosecutor's office and their head nod before we take a step to invest those kind of taxpayer resources. So once again, agree or disagree with my plan. It's published for the world to read in the News Herald, Lake County Tribune, but it's a plan, and you're welcome to publish your own plan and explain why you think it's wrong. And you can say we should move forward with all due speed. I just want to assure you, as a taxpayer, we are. We can't go faster than we've been going, and we have that bee in our bonnet because we recognize that costs are only increasing. So I respect the fact that you disagree with my positions. I just want to be clear to anyone watching. If you want to see my position, I published it in the News Herald. I published it in the Lake County Tribune. I'm happy to share it with any resident who hasn't seen a copy of those publications. This is a very big issue. Reasonable people can disagree on it, but I have made my position public. And I would, to the president's request, and I don't want to prevent anyone else from making a statement, but I would make a motion to adjourn for executive session. But once again, I don't want to cut anyone off if they have something to add.
Can I have a short rebuttal? No, no, sir. I apologize. I don't want to get into a debate, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hamercheck.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today. This meeting stands adjourned for reasons so stated.